To the United States Legislators, I am writing to you not as a partisan, but as a concerned citizen of this state and this nation. Many of us are watching in disbelief as former President Donald Trump continues to pull members of Congress into his legal and political chaos. Some of you may disagree with his actions, his rhetoric, and his disregard for democratic norms, but remain silent out of fear, loyalty, or political calculation. I ask you today to remember who elected you. Not a party, not a man, but the people. I'm 77 years old, fully cognitive, though I do have health issues. Without Medicare or the Social Security I earned through years of service working for city government, I will not survive. Losing those lifelines would mean not living to see my grandchildren grow up, or being there for my 2 sons as long as I can. One an Afghanistan war veteran, and the other a retired veteran living with a disability. I love my sons and grandchildren with every fiber of my being. I have committed no crime worthy of a death sentence. When my time comes, I trust God to take my life, not the federal government. Donald Trump is not God. He is not above the law, and he does not get to decide who lives and who suffers. That power belongs to no man, only to God, and to a just democracy. Unchecked executive actions not only endanger lives, they erode the very principles upon which this nation was built. Now is the time for courage, not cowardice, for unity, not division. We must not let our democracy be handed over to those who wish to dismantle it. We the people voted for you to serve all of us. That includes those who are now suffering under policies that threaten to strip away essential programs like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Many of you have parents or family members who rely on these programs for survival. You know what's at stake. And yet many of you continue to support legislation that would gut these programs simply because Trump demands it or because it aligns with a partisan agenda. You were not elected to follow a man who believes he is above the law. You were not elected to protect a party at all costs. You were elected to lead, to uphold your oath, and to serve with integrity. Donald Trump is in serious legal trouble, and every time you vote in lockstep with him, you are choosing to follow him down a path that threatens the very foundation of our democracy. I implore that you put the American people over party politics. This is no longer about Democrat, Republican, or independents. It is about the survival of our democracy, the safety of our communities, and the dignity of our nation. You were elected to serve all of us, not just to follow one man or shield a political brand. History is watching, and so are your constituents. I write to you with profound urgency and deep concern regarding President Trump's recent military actions and the invocation of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. These developments not only challenge the constitutional balance of powers, but also pose significant threats to our democratic principles and the rule of law. We the people are aware that there is no war between the United States and any foreign countries. But it seems that Donald J. Trump is at war with the United States itself. On March 15, 2025, President Trump ordered extensive military strikes against the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen, resulting in numerous casualties, including civilians. These actions were taken without prior congressional authorization, raising serious constitutional questions. The Constitution grants Congress the exclusive power to declare war, as outlined in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11. By bypassing Congress, the president has overstepped his constitutional authority, undermining the checks and balances that are fundamental to our democracy. Furthermore, the president's invocation of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to expedite deportations of alleged gang members is deeply troubling. This archaic law, previously used during major wars, grants the president sweeping powers that can easily be abused. A federal judge had initially issued a temporary restraining order against its application, highlighting the legal and ethical concerns surrounding its use. However, subsequent rulings have lifted this order, allowing the measure to proceed. Today, ICE agents crossed yet another line, arresting the first sitting mayor in what appeared to be an unnecessary and aggressive display of force in Newark. This action not only humiliated an elected official, but endangered those who gathered to protect him, including an elderly woman, possibly a member of Congress, who was shoved, and disrespected. I applaud the brave individuals who stood between ICE and tyranny. ICE must be held accountable and reformed. Its mission should be to protect, not terrorize, and certainly not to target citizens or college students who contribute positively to our society. Moreover, it must be noted that the Supreme Court has already pushed back against these deportations, citing violations of due process. This judicial warning was not a suggestion, it was a constitutional boundary. Any citizen or non-citizen arrested without due process retains the right to file a writ of habeas corpus, a fundamental protection enshrined in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. If the executive branch defies this principle, it crosses into lawlessness. This is not only a legal crisis, it is an impeachable offense. Therefore, I now fully support and request immediate impeachment proceedings against both President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. At this pivotal moment in history, it is imperative that the Democratic Congress stands united and does not waver in the face of opposition. The stakes are too high. We must protect Medicaid, Social Security, SSI and SSDI, and the social safety nets that millions of Americans depend on. Any compromise that weakens these essential programs is a direct attack on the most vulnerable in our society. A divided Democratic Congress only serves to weaken our democracy, playing in the hands of those who seek to dismantle it. We, the people, stand with you in saving our democracy, even if it means the government must close temporarily. Democracy is worth fighting for, and the preservation of our constitutional rights and social protections must come before political concessions. I also researched regarding the U.S. Constitution basis for impeachment, to which I viewed Article 2, Section 4, and it explains, "The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for high crimes and misdemeanors." I found this very interesting. That tells me that this means both the President and Vice President are subject to impeachment, together or separately. In light of these actions, I implore Congress to take the following steps to uphold our Constitution and protect our democracy. Invoke the 14th or 25th Amendment. Assess the President's capacity to discharge the powers and duties of his office. If found unfit, initiate the process to transfer authority to the Vice President. Please initiate impeachment proceedings. There are many House representatives that can file every single day. I know that Article 1, Section 2, Clause 5 of the U.S. Constitution, that the House of Representatives shall have the sole power of impeachment. I know that Article 1, Section 3, Clause 6, where the Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. There are no limitations in filing articles of impeachment, even if leadership refuses to act. Once articles of impeachment are entered into the congressional record, they cannot be erased. They stand as a permanent mark of truth, resistance, and accountability. Reassert congressional authority over war powers. Strengthen legislative measures to ensure that any act of war receives proper congressional authorization, reaffirming the intent of the War Powers Resolution of 1973. Additionally, I must emphasize that if Vice President J.D. Vance has been complicit in these actions, or if he has similarly abused the powers of his office, he too must be held accountable. The Constitution explicitly allows for the impeachment of both the President and Vice President if they commit impeachable offenses. Congress has the authority and the responsibility to initiate proceedings for both if warranted. We cannot allow this administration to operate without accountability. Impeachment is not just a political tool, it is a constitutional safeguard. I was deeply disturbed by recent coverage on a well-known YouTube podcast, where it was reported that individuals aligned with Trump are threatening that if the rules aren't followed their way, there will be war in the streets, tanks, military presence, and chaos. They are essentially saying, "Give us what we want, or lose all control." That's not democracy. It's extortion. Adding fuel to this fire, I am outraged by recent remarks made by Stephen Miller, former Trump advisor, who appeared on national television and suggested that the Trump administration is looking at suspending habeas corpus. That idea is not only unconstitutionality, but also tyrannical. Habeas corpus is the cornerstone of individual liberty, the safeguard that protects citizens from unlawful detention without due process. No administration, past, present or future, has the right to even consider revoking this sacred legal protection. The fact that Miller, now a private citizen with no official role, feels emboldened to publicly make such authoritarian threats is a chilling reminder of the mindset still surrounding Donald J. Trump. Congress must condemn this rhetoric and take immediate legislative action to ensure these constitutional protections can never be suspended by the whims of would-be tyrants. I was told that I should only contact representatives within my district. However, this issue does not simply affect my district. It concerns all Americans. When a president unilaterally engages in military action without congressional approval, it is not a local matter. It is a crisis for the entire nation. This is why I am reaching out to you and other elected officials, regardless of district boundaries. The Constitution belongs to all of us, and its protection is a shared responsibility. I share this because the gravity of the current situation cannot be overstated. Unchecked executive actions not only endanger lives, they erode the very principles upon which this nation was built. Now is the time for courage, not cowardice. For unity, not division. We must not let our democracy be handed over to those who wish to dismantle it. We, the American people, urge you to stand strong, hold the line, and fight for our democracy. The future of our country depends on it. To my Republican brothers, sisters, and elected officials, stop being afraid. This is not the time to cower or play politics. This is the moment to rise. We are staring down a dictator in the making, and silence is complicity. This isn't just any insurrection. This is an inside job, a betrayal of the American people by those entrusted to serve them. When the plot to overturn our democracy comes from inside the White House, it's not just sedition, it's subversion. It is the early shadow of a coup, led by a would-be dictator and enabled by cowards in high office. We must defend our democracy. We must protect our Constitution. We must stand out, speak up, and push back against the homegrown terrorists trying to ignite another insurrection. We cannot let history repeat itself. We must call it what it is, treachery, and fight it with truth, law, and unwavering resistance. History is watching. The world is watching. Whose side are you on? Sincerely.